Hello, ladies.
Hi. Oh, and Brielle's here. Guys, you got to check out last month. That was amazing.
Yeah.
YouTube Mastery. Hi, everybody.
Hello, hello. Hi, Yesenia.
I was literally on a one-on-one with Nicole because we hit Google Meet and we're like, why are we the only ones here?
Oh yeah, we gotta delete those, I
So
guess.
we were just catching up. We're like, we're doing something wrong here. Yeah.
You get some one-on-one time though. That's nice.
Yeah, exactly. We're like, why is it just me and you right now?
I love
Have
it.
you ladies been?
Really
Good.
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 So
Good.
It's
busy.
been
Spring
a
market
busy
started.
beginning of the year.
I
Yeah,
love it.
the spring market's in like full swing here.
Oh
So
yeah.
a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. I guess we could just give it like one more minute.
Yeah, because we did. Yeah, we did say later. Thanks to everybody for being so flexible.
I just updated the Google, took the Google Meet out. No more Google Meet for future master classes. Sorry, market partners.
Zoe, do you want to share your screen?
Yeah, I do actually. And I want to share my screen, but if it's gonna be like before I get it in full screen mode, it's gonna be a little bit weird. I hate this when people are like, share my screen. Okay. Can you guys see the full screen and nothing but the full screen?
Yes.
So help you. Okay.
Hmm. I
Amazing.
hope Kenna joins tonight, our accountability coach.
Oh yeah, that would be great. Well, she can also watch the replay, but it would be great to have her insight live.
Totally. Totally.
And actually, Carly, I'm going to ask you, and you can also nominate anybody like Marley or anybody. But because I'm in full screen mode, I realize I can't see the chat responses. So I don't know if is there a way to view both or no? Otherwise, I might ask you to share some highlights of chat
Yeah,
quality.
don't worry about it. We can kind of like moderate and
That would be amazing.
yeah,
Okay, cool.
All right. Do you think we should get started?
I think let's get started.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our February masterclass. We're so excited. Zoe's so excited. I'll introduce her. She is a fitness trainer, and she does group trainings, and she's going to be talking to us today about a smart woman's wellness guide. So I'll let Zoe get right into it, but we're so excited.
Yeah, thank you, Marley. And yeah, before we fully get into it, I am really excited to be here. And how I actually got involved in Powerhouse Women was I was looking for events, to start the new year with intentionality, and I saw that you guys had the vision board activity. And so that is how I first came across the group. And honestly, I mean, first of all, I had not been to a virtual event since the pandemic. So my expectations were not of the highest. But I went and I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed everyone that was on the call. And I actually left and I said to myself, this was so fun. And it felt really easy and inviting and welcoming. So I immediately reached out to see if I could get involved more. And I just want to say like it was really great. So my hope is that this is a fun conversation that you guys walk away learning something and also enjoying it. And also just a shout out to Brielle who gave the presentation last month on how to start a YouTube channel and be really successful. It was a masterclass in how to be awesome. So I encourage you to check that out. And thanks for being here. The other thing is I want, and I'm relying on my moderator, Powerhouse Women Founders, to kind of keep a pulse on the chat. Before we get started, because what you'll learn is fitness is a very personal journey, fitness and nutrition. So I wanted to just have a couple of prompts for people who are, whether you're on camera or off, 3 questions only. Scale of 1 to 7. The first one is, do you currently have a fitness routine? And just drop it in the chat. And then I'll ask again, Carly, maybe I can nominate you to share. Oh, I can actually see in the chat. Cool.
7 being the like we
7 being
have
you
like
have a routine on lock, and 0 being, I guess it could be 0 to 7. 1 or 0 is I don't have a routine. Yeah. Oh, great. Okay, cool. Oh, you guys, oh, amazing. Okay, so people have routines. Okay, this is great. Okay, cool. Then the two more questions are to what extent do you think it's working or not working? Scale of 1 to 7. 7 is it's working really well for you. 1 is it's not working for you. Results is defined by you. So you have a routine a lot of people do. And then to what extent is it working? Okay, so there's a little bit of a difference so far.
Growing these
And
buns.
funds, nice. Yeah, I saw that. Obviously, you'll be giving the presentation next. Love it. Okay, awesome. And then the last question is, are you enjoying the routine? So I would say most people have a routine. Most people feel like it's working. Are you enjoyment level? 7 is you're absolutely loving it, and 1 is you're not. Nice. Okay, I think people feel pretty set. Maybe we're done. Maybe we just call it. I think.
No, I have so many
Okay.
questions.
Yeah, no, this is great. Well, amazing. I love working with an advanced group. So then I think hit me with the hard questions because everybody has a sense of, I think, what, things that work for them. And I'd love to hear from you. So without further ado, I think the first slide will be just what is your reason to even hear from me? And my journey is, I started my career in 2008, graduating from college, and I was very fortunate to get into a marketing associate program at General Mills based in Minneapolis. I'm from New York originally, and I'm based in Brooklyn now, by the way. So I was in this amazing rotational program where I also had the opportunity to get sponsorship for business school, and I did earn sponsorship. So I went to the University of Virginia for my MBA and then went back to General Mills after. So I was really eager to climb the career ladder. And on the outside, I would say pretty successful. On the inside, I never really felt in alignment with what I was doing, but it was helpful to get the foundational business skills and understand how, large matrix organizations work. So at that point, I decided to go to Tough Mudder, which was at the time a really big company in the health and wellness industry as a marketing director. And I was still on the corporate track, but I started Fitness by Zoe on the side almost 10 years ago. So I've been doing this for a while, but I've only been doing it full time since late 2023. So I took a pretty big leap recently. And I think all of this is relevant. One is if people want to talk business and corporate, I'm all about it. If you want to talk entrepreneurship, I'm also all about it. But I think that I really like to work with professional women because I was in their shoes and I understand how hard it is to create space. I know all of you seem to have a pretty decent routine, but the expectations to be amazing in our careers, show up for our families, just there's the content of what you're doing, there's the optics of what you're doing, there's desires to learn, there's a lot of variables. And I don't have my life to spend in the gym. I do happen to like working out, but it's a little bit of a means to an ends too. So I like working with people on pragmatic solutions that fit their life and not this idealized view of, you start your day with coffee for 2 hours and then it's a leisure walk. You have like one earth-shattering, insightful meeting, then you're in the gym. It's built for real life. And things were looking great. I was in London. I had an awesome role. But I basically, when I started in 2015, I was doing traditional personal training group fitness. So my model is I will go, let's say, Giovanna, I will go to Giovanna's home, or if she has a building gym, I will train her there. So she doesn't need to have a gym membership. Or I did boot camps in the park or through partner gyms where all of you guys could come and we would do like a HIIT style workout. So I did that for years, but I really saw a gap in what's the holistic offering that's going to be fitness, nutrition, lifestyle recovery. Those are the 4 pillars I ended up focusing on. So I created a digital platform called Strategic Strength, and that is what I'm focused on now. That is my life. That is my love. And and I'll talk about it later, but this isn't an ad for it, although everything, all roads end up pointing to it. But it's not intentional. I'm really passionate about my clients. And so the other thing is my approach, which may not be your approach. This is critical. Just because I think a certain way doesn't mean that it's the only path to Rome. And my approach is really about, like Carly was sharing with me that there's some market partners here, maybe on the call, who love the 75 hard challenge, which, by the way, if you love the 75 hard challenge, which is 2 workouts a day, reading a book, like it's a lot of good stuff in a short period of time, then you should do the 75 hard. If that's what you like, that's going to be the most sustainable. That being said, for me, I'm more on the 365-day moderate, because if you're working out twice a week for a year, you're going to do almost 100 workouts, as an example. If you're working out 5 times a week for 3 months, you're going to do like just over 50 workouts. So the person who's doing the slow and steady over time is not going to burn out. like what happens on day 76 as an example of 75 hard. You kind of don't necessarily know what to do, and your body's not necessarily built to be at Mount Everest peak that whole time. So my approach is really, and we'll talk about some case studies after this, but it's looking at progress over perfection. It's looking at whole person wellness, and it's really a tool to be your best self outside the gym. And if there's questions too, like I definitely have some, I don't want to say shadow side of my journey, but I had some struggles with fitness and I was very unathletic growing up and some other things. So I can speak to some of that if it's relevant. But all the more reason that like having a healthy relationship with exercise and food is just, it's truly changed my life. So any questions on my background or the approach or anything resonating in particular? No worries. Thank you, moderators. Okay, cool. So the next part is interactive because the content is only as meaningful as the questions that you guys have. So we're going to go through two actual client of mine case studies for discussion because I have a feeling some of the things that you may be struggling with. So once again, this is super interactive, these next two slides, and there's not that many slides. Okay, so let's talk about Jamie. First of all, Jamie said good luck to me today. So I said, thanks, Jamie. I'll send her the recording, say it went well. Okay, you might be like one of two main types. It doesn't mean these are the only, but who are health first and people who might be aesthetics or body first over mind, body health. Or somewhere in the middle. So Jamie's a really interesting case study. She has a super high powered job. She's a chief operating officer at a fast growing food chain. She has two daughters and her daughters are a little bit older. So if you are a mom of young kids, there are maybe different constraints that you're facing for a period of time, but her girl's age is relevant because it's giving her a little bit more time and space to fit in a workout plan. When she came to me, she was at her heaviest ever and not feeling good, but she really wanted to do this because she's in it for the long term and thinking about how she wants to be in her 40s, 50s, and beyond. And she also had done a lot of past programs. She did a half marathon and a half marathon training plan. She did P90X, if you guys are familiar with that, Les Mills, like all these different things. And they didn't work. And kind of the things that we uncovered as we started working together were she has perfectionism tendencies, which you'll see as a theme as well in the next example. But it's like, if I miss a day, I failed. So if you failed, you can't continue, and then you're off track, and then it's hard to get on track. So how do you tackle that mindset wise? Comparison to this past fitter self, where it's like we have this idea of who we used to be, and we're so attached to that we can't appreciate the present moment for what it is. And honestly, this is a very advanced concept, but I'm dealing with advanced people. The more you can let go of results and just focus on the inputs, the more likely you are to build the body and the mindset that you want to have. It's just really, really hard to get to that place. Okay, there's something in the chat, so I'm going to stop everything I'm doing.
Who's sitting? Morgan's
Okay. Thank you, Morgan H. Appreciate you. Yes. Okay, cool. Thanks. Yeah, I said engaging. So you have to live up to your end. Because I know these clients. I'm really sharing the background so you can get in their heads. I want you to see yourself in them. So that was that. The other thing was, and you kind of learn this, and I work with Jamie only virtually. So you kind of pick up on these behavior cues because all the program I lay out for her, I won't get into the mechanics of it, but I kind of got a sense when we were doing these cardio HIIT workouts in between her strength training days, she just didn't seem excited. I just got a feeling of like, this isn't working. And I kind of asked her, like, why are you, like, what's going on? And she's like, I hate cardio. I was like, why are we doing it? Who said that we had to do cardio? Like that's not an actual thing. First of all, one way to do cardio is to lift weights faster. And that's Jen Sinkler is she's a pretty well-known person in the strength training space for women. She has a book about that, lift weights faster. If you want to get your heart rate up, you do that. You don't need to do cardio. It's great to do for cardiovascular health, but like you could take a walk. I mean, there's other things. So don't do what you don't love to do. That's a must if you're going to be building a sustainable routine. And so what we did was, I thought I was really clever and slick, and I wasn't. I was like, what's going to be great? You're a busy executive and mom of two. Let's do 3 days a week. That way you have 4 days off and like we can do strength training 3 days a week. You'll be great. And actually she was not able to complete that because she had to think about, is this a workout day? Is this not a workout day? And in Jamie's case, it wasn't a time management issue because she has phenomenal time management. It was literally we had to get workouts to a place that she was willing to wake up at 5:30 in the morning, which is not true of most of my clients, but with her, that was the only time slot. And she actually found that doing it 5 days a week, so every weekday, this is what we're doing, that allowed her to be more successful. So I think the key message here is that you knowing yourself is the biggest tool. Like working with a coach can be great, but you knowing what works for you. And she's been incredibly consistent. Like she's well on her way to 300 workouts. She's the most consistent she's literally ever been, which before was a 3 month total. I mean, she has so many quotes, and I'm just gonna say this. There's so many things, but like she's gone shopping in her own closet to get clothes because things are falling off. She's gone shopping for new stuff in general. Um, a coworker said something which I personally find invasive, but that seems like a compliment. And more than that, like her daughters have said on multiple occasions like how strong she is. And also again, this quote that you can read is a non-scale victory that's not saying that she has a six-pack, but it's saying that her daughter is like, I understand what strong and thin the difference are. And when her daughters tell her that they're proud of her mom, another quote that didn't make it on here, this is directly from our community forum, by the way. But the last quote, and then I'm going to check the chat, was that her daughter was saying like, Mom, I want to be like you when I grow up because you're there for our family, you crush it at work, and I love how you work out. And I feel that there's nothing in the previous slide in the corporate role that beats being there for Jamie when she accomplishes these things. So honestly, I'm an accessory. Let me pause to see what questions you guys have. And if you see yourself in Jamie, let's like workshop this so that you get something out of it.
I
So
can read them to you if you'd prefer that.
yeah, that would be great because now I lost the chat.
Okay. I actually asked the first question.
Okay, great.
So, do you actually need cardio to lose weight? I feel like there's so many myths surrounding that, and some people say you do, some people say you don't. So what is like the trick
Yeah.
there?
Yeah. And are you in the market to lose weight? Is that your goal at the moment?
I feel like no, I'm more like toned. I want to just be
Yeah.
more toned, and I lift like 2 to 3 days a week.
Nice.
Mix in cardio, like 12, 3:30 on the treadmill. I mean, I'm not like sprinting or anything, but I
Yeah.
hate cardio. And I feel like a lot of people hate cardio.
I
So
think a lot of people do. Yeah.
that like necessary in order to tone and like slim down or yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah, sure. I think I know a little bit. So let me do my best to answer. So I would say it's not necessary. So I think that cardiovascular health is really important for things that we don't necessarily care about as we get older. So that like I wouldn't say avoid doing hiking, walking, jogging. Like you don't need to do jogging, but like walking is key. Like people overlook how key walking is for both health and weight loss and fat loss. So I think moving your body in space is good for your heart, is good for you. So if we just focus on what is the toning aspect of it, if you want to do cardio to like, you don't necessarily look shredded as like the most extreme view, but I would do high intensity intervals, but not so many. I would do like 30 seconds of what feels fast for you with 30 seconds off. Or there's a cardio workout that I use with some clients and myself that is on the more brutal side, but it scales up and down. It's called the Norwegian 4x4. So that's the treadmill or outdoor running is the hardest version, but you could do it on a bike or a rower or any piece of equipment. But basically 4x4 run would be after a short warm up, 4 minutes like fast, which sounds easy, but it's actually hard to maintain 4 minutes.
Hard.
Yeah, it's all hard. And then 3 minutes easy. And then you repeat that 4 times. So 4x4. So within 30 minutes, including like a warm up and cool down, you're done. Like in 28 minutes with a 5 minute warm up, you're done. But even if you wanted to do, I like to sometimes do with some of my clients programming, we might do a cardio primer that's a 10-minute total sprint interval, but it's that 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Or maybe there's different intervals,
I
but
used to do that with the trainer actually. So
yeah. Yeah. So I would say that cardio for fat loss and toning is the intervals, but I wouldn't like, and we'll talk about this more in the next, there's only two case studies, but the next one too, I don't think you need to do like a HIIT class. But I think yeah, yeah. So good. So you still don't need to, but if you wanted to do like, basically you could get results by doing 10 minutes of cardio, either tacked onto your workout or as a primer before you lift. But if you don't like cardio, I wouldn't do it. It's more important to focus on the weight training and nutrition. And
Okay.
yeah, the holistic view and also sleep and stress and other things that you're like, yeah, I get it. So I'd say the
Kind
short
of answer
answer
the
is
last
not.
question too. The next question. Then
Yeah.
Dania asked, what are your thoughts on a combination of both cardio and weightlifting in the same day? Say 25, 30 minutes of cardio and then 30 to 45 minutes of weights. If so, do you recommend one before the other?
Yeah, I guess it depends is going to be the master framework. I love that question. Who asked that?
Dania.
Dania?
Yesenia.
Yesenia. Thanks, Yesenia. Great question. Yeah, it depends. I'll answer as me, Zoe, the Zoe, not just the trainer. And never will I refer to myself in the third person again. But basically, I don't like the idea of being on a piece of cardio equipment for 20 minutes. It just sounds boring to me, and I have places to go and people to see. Um, and I'm gonna try and lift heavier, so I want to have like a minute rest interval between my lifts. So I might do like four main lifts and some accessories. So for me, I'd rather do like a 50-minute lifting session than split it with cardio and strength training. But if you're lifting moderate weights and you enjoy the cardio aspect, then it's good to do it. I think if you're like all in, like this is the season, I am doing this for a period of time. Let's say it's like a 9 week, because I wouldn't do something so intense without any deloading or reloading, like for more than 9 or 10 weeks at a time. Things can go in phases. But if you really wanted to go all in, I would say doing 10 minutes of these cardio intervals before the lifting, because that way, one, you're warming up, and two, your muscles are going to be a little tired when you start to lift. And then I would do that. So I think it's safe to do them on the same day. I think it depends a little bit what your goals are, and what your style preferences are. Does that answer the question though? I just want to hear from her if she has a follow-up.
Um, yeah, it does. It's just one of those things where like I never sweat. Like I could do weights for an hour no matter how heavy I go and I never sweat. But the only thing that gets me to sweat where I feel like, you know what, I had a great workout is like Stairmaster or like walking on an incline. And I feel like sometimes like I feel like I don't have a great workout unless I really sweat. So the cardio is like the only thing that will do that for me.
Yeah,
So when
I
I've
wanted to hear more on
incorporated it,
that.
I'm like, should I do it at the beginning or should I do it at the end kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
I think you can play around with it. And are you someone that voted that you're getting results from your training?
I feel like I used to, and right now I'm at a point where I'm just like not seeing the results as quick as I used to. So I don't know if it's like my diet or just me having to switch up, my workouts now. So I'm just all over the place right now trying to figure out like what works for me because before it was always like 15, 20 minutes on Stairmaster. That was just kind of like how I warmed up, got my heart rate going, and then would jump into weights for like 30, 40 minutes. And my sets were quick, right? It was 3 sets
Right.
and reps between like 10 to 12 reps. And I felt like within like 2, 3 weeks, I'd see like change. And like now I feel like that is just not working. And it's also probably because I'm 36 now. So,
Right.
You don't look it.
so yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And I can't see you, so you definitely don't look it. But I'm hearing you. I'm believing it. At the end, I want to make sure I could see your face and thank you for your thoughtful input. So yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, there is truth to like, sure, whatever, you're getting a little bit older, but I would say, and also I think this is worth everybody hearing, which is why I'm going deeper. Um, So there's a couple of things you said there. One is you're not going to be necessarily sweating at all when you're lifting weights, and it doesn't mean that the lifting weights isn't good for you or isn't working. Some people will sweat a little bit. Some people like sometimes, I mean, for me it's great because again, I can sometimes get away with like not showering till later on. I mean, I try to, have good hygiene, but like not sweating in a workout, I'm more looking at my performance in terms of tracking the weights, tracking the rest intervals, like how did I feel, like a rating scale of like, was this easy, moderate, or challenging? So I think that the not sweating is not, you shouldn't necessarily expect to sweat from a workout. And that's more of it's
Yeah.
more of a mental exercise in letting go of an idea of what a workout is. That being said, beyond what we didn't talk about with Marley's question around cardio is also very good for mental health. So if you like to break a sweat and that helps you to just plug in, check in, lock in, then you should do that. And I think you should continue to start with the cardio in the beginning because that's something that it just sounds like it gets you in the headspace and mind space of I'm here to work out. And maybe experiment with doing an interval strategy rather than doing the steady state cardio. Sometimes I'll do a steady state cardio day just to not overtax myself on the lifting. So I'm not anti steady state cardio. I just think it's not essential. So I would maybe play with intervals, and then we'll talk about this more in the second and final case study. But progressive overload is a concept that you might want to research a little bit more and or work with a coach to hone. So it means that you're going to be increasing the basically the resistance and the time under tension over time. So a rep scheme that I like to do is like 3 sets of 12 reps. And then it may be the next week or maybe it's the next month, I will do 4 sets of 10 reps. So I'm adding a fourth set, which makes it a little bit more challenging from an endurance standpoint, but it's 10 reps. So maybe I can lift a little heavier than the 12 reps. Then I would do a 4x8 where I can really like see how far I can push with the weights. So I think that maybe you just need to have a little bit of structured variety in there, and use progressive overload, and you should start to see more results. So I think for you, it's more of a tweaking rather than an overhaul. But I also don't know anything about what you're eating, what your life looks like. And so I would just have a big asterisk that, you would know best where you need to like what rock you need to tackle first.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions or comments as it relates to Jamie, but what Jamie inspires for you?
There is 2 more questions.
Okay, cool.
Gia asked, what are your thoughts on aiming for hitting 10,000 steps a day?
So controversial. What's the next question? Because I know I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna say what I really think, which is unpopular. I have a lot of trainer friends, or at least like one. Okay, next I'll come back to that. Good question.
Okay. Louis asked, do you think women have to lift, or is using your body as a weight, is that enough? Like push-ups, squats, planks, etc. I've been told women have to lift, especially the older you get.
Okay, those are both good, and one's a little bit easier. So I think that resistance times time under tension equals results is like a very loose formula. So time under tension, let's talk about what that is if you're doing, let's say you're doing a squat with body weight. If you do 1.5 squats, so you go down with the squat, you come up halfway, you go right back down and you come up. So I like to play sometimes with this time under tension, where instead of doing a regular squat, I'll be doing 1.25 squats or 1.5 squats. That's basically increasing. Instead of going up and going down, you're going up, you're still in a squat kind of, and then you're standing up. The other thing is an isometric, and I know this is a little bit like technical, but isometric hold. So if you're just holding a lunge with your body weight static and not going up and down with the knee drive, or you're doing a wall sit, that's an isometric hold. That can be very, very challenging because it takes strength and stability and also core strength and stability to be able to hold that posture without moving it. So there's a whole series of variables you can play with time under tension. And resistance, your body is a resistance, a band is a resistance, a dumbbell is a resistance. I would say it goes back to the original questions I asked of like, if you don't have a routine and you feel like lifting weights is too much of a barrier, then you should start with resistance of body weight training. And yeah, planks, push-ups, squats, and some type of hinge pattern. If it's not deadlifts, then there's other things like YTW. You could do other hinge patterns. Those are really the 4 exercises. So yeah, I think you could. I think that it goes back to how fast do you want to progress, and how much of a aesthetic bend do you have, or an aesthetic preference, because the fastest way to get results is going to be lifting heavier weights, most likely. But if you are not on a time crunch or you just don't want to, you can just use your body weight. So I would push back on anyone that says that that's not appropriate. And yeah, as you get older, your resistance training in the form of body weight is going to be really helpful. And by the way, it's going to be helpful against falling, which is one of the major issues as people get older. And also, I happen to have clients who are 25 to 65, which is not so great for my ideal client profile, my ICP, but I feel strongly that I want to have, at this moment in time, I may change my mind, but a community of intergenerational women. And I also like learning from the postmenopausal women, like what my perimenopausal women will be facing. So yeah, just in terms of questions for people who are thinking about looking ahead. So Long-winded answer. Yes, I'm cool with resistance training with body weight, and unless you are interested in weights. And then the 10,000 steps, I mean, that one bothers me going back to this slide. So just going back to this slide, another thing is like my career is very important to me. I mean, now my career is I actually love my own leadership of myself. It's great as the CEO of my company, but I think it's, when people put these 10,000 steps, it's kind of arbitrary. When I lived in Minnesota, there's a lot of driving around. So I was intentional to try and get walks in, but it's really hard when it's 30 below to like, do all these walks every day, and you have decks that are you have real stuff, and you have to pick up, if you have to pick up kids from childcare, whatever the case may be. So I like to do a 5-minute walk every once in a while, like at work, like I would always take a 5-minute walk. So I love the idea of getting some movement in. I think if you can get 10 steps a day, that's great. That's wonderful. And I'm trying to get 5 to 10K steps a day, and personally right now, because I feel better when I do that. And I'm back in Brooklyn where a lot of stuff is walking around. Like I'm not driving, I don't have a car here. It fits my lifestyle. I work for myself. But I think this framework around it has to be 10K steps a day, I think can be very punitive and just super unrealistic for people that have jobs and lives. So I would say 5K steps would be an awesome place to start and potentially land. But I will say that a lot of trainers who are very, extremely qualified have probably been training full time longer than I have. They might say it's got to be the 10K steps, but I push back on that.
I agree. It takes so long.
Yeah, it's just, and also it's like there, it's good to have I mean, I do have a checklist of things that I like to do to take care of myself. And like journaling, a 1-minute meditation a day. Like these are practices that work for me, but it's also taken a lot of time to hone what it is. I do think if I'm getting, 2,500 versus 5K steps a day, I do feel better with the 5K. So I like to know, but it just felt like another chore. And also, I want to get my workout in and not feel like I have to get my workout in and this and that. And it goes back to like the juggling so many things. So if you are in a city or suburban or rural area where walking is possible, take advantage. If you're not getting any steps in, or maybe it's like 1,000 to 2,500 a day, I would encourage you to experiment with a couple shorter walk breaks. But beyond that, it's really, dealer's choice, and you're the dealer. Cool. Other questions before we move on to Alex? I mean, because we still have stuff. Yeah, go ahead, Marley.
Those were the only questions in the chat for now.
Okay, cool. I really appreciate the questions. And then the other thing is, I'm gonna ask Carly again for this, but it doesn't have to be Carly, but I just know you. I'm great with time management when I'm looking at a clock, but I'm so like I'm all in on this conversation. So if you feel like I'm getting off track, just cool. And there's no more than 7 slides, which includes thank you as a slide. I just said it, so we don't even need to
Perfect.
look at it. Okay, cool. Alex. Okay, cool. These are also screenshots from my app, so I have so many. I also this was really exciting to me. This was last week. But yeah, this is someone who I feel like may potentially be even more relatable to this group, but we'll see from your feedback. So she's in her late 20s. She's single. Happens to have a boyfriend. But she's in the fashion industry and she travels very frequently for work. And when Alex came to me, she does want to feel good in her body. It's not that she doesn't, but she's in a very body image conscious industry. And she really she values what her body looks like. And it's not my job to say, value what your body looks like and what it's capable of. It's my job to meet somebody where they are. And if you want to look a certain way, then we should focus on how do you do that within the confines of what else is important to you. So that's something that I think is important to note. When she came to me, she was doing everything and her body wasn't changing. And she lives in Brooklyn as well. New York is one of the best fitness markets, I would say, in the world. I mean, Miami is also phenomenal. There's a few great fitness markets, but we really have great stuff. So she was going to the best Pilates classes, like the best bar, she loves pole, the best HIIT classes, like all of the things, and running she was doing, which is not even on there, to our earlier point on this cardio, and she wasn't doing anything. And to me, it was a little bit obvious. But of course we had to, start the work to kind of see it play out. But if you're doing what I call these random acts of fitness, you feel like incredibly sweaty, incredibly maybe exhausted at the end, proud of yourself, like trying different modalities, but you're just on like it's random acts of fitness. It's not a structured program. As someone who has taught classes, classes can be great if you value community and accountability of like getting out with people. And once again, I encourage you, like if you love a run club, go to the run club. But if classes is the meat and potatoes versus the side dish of what you're doing, you're not going to progress because the whole point of classes is to give people a unique workout every time. It's all about like the high fun, high intensity, high energy because you're paying a premium to be in the class. So you're not wanting to do the same thing you did last week. That's just not how the industry works. So I don't recommend classes if I don't recommend a random assortment of classes if you have a very specific aesthetics goal or even a mild aesthetics goal. It wouldn't be the first thing I would do. Once again, what you love trumps all. So she also had perfectionism. If I miss a day, I failed. So then it's like 5 to 7 days in a row. And then, calling me and telling me, I mean, not calling me, I see it in the app. It's like, this isn't working. Like, I hate everyone. I hate everything. I'm working so hard. How is it that I'm working so hard, so much harder than everyone? I'm not seeing anything. So we dialed it back. We started at 2 days a week just to kind of get a sense of what was happening of strength training specifically. And then over 2 to 3 months, we started progressing to 4 days of lifting. I might usually have somebody doing something for 12 weeks without making changes, but she's experienced with exercise. So we progressed to 4 lifting days, and once a week on Fridays, she does pull. And that's important because she really loves it. I mean, it makes her feel confident, but she really loves it. And I think the quote that made me happy is that she's like she took a little bit of a hiatus to focus on the strength training. And when she came back, yes, she looks really good, but she's also like capable of what her body can do. And that made me feel really good. By the way, I've never taken a pole class, but I'd be down to try it. Just I think it would be hard for me actually. So the other thing, which was really like it was a testing ground for both of us, because she wasn't like when she went to just the food situation was very difficult with the work travel and all the perks that you get from work and being around other people socially. I don't say it was out of control, but it was just like a smorgasbord of things and no structure. So I said, okay, 5 minute hotel workouts, literally 5 minutes on 4 of these days. Like you can do 5 minutes. It can be in your hotel room. It can be in the hotel gym. It's literally 5 minutes. And we're going to pre-plan snacks and focus on protein. And those changes have been really helpful because she went from not doing anything while traveling, which is what she's doing often, to like changing the game for herself and planning ahead. And proper planning is so key as a, overarching theme. And then the other thing was, and this also took time to figure out, but sometimes it would be like, I kind of would see, well, why are certain days being skipped and you're making so much progress and this matters to you so much and it's important for your work. But she sometimes, and it's cold here in New York this season. She's like, the gym, it's a walk, it's far. If I don't have time or I'm tired at the end of the day to go to the gym, I'm not going to go. And then I'm like, okay, so well, we're just going to get you dumbbells to have at home and you're going to do the workout at home. So I made some tweaks to the workouts that she can choose an alternative exercise. If she's at the gym, she clicks button A, and she's at home, she does button B. By the way, they could be the same thing. And certainly the person who's doing body weight training doesn't even need a gym. But the point being, we have a plan for either. So it's like if you have the energy, you're going to go to the gym, but we're eliminating the roadblocks that are fake roadblocks. And that allowed her to be consistent with the 4 days a week. So the key is consistency. She's stronger, leaner, more defined by doing less. I do believe that strength training for most women is going to be their fastest path to Rome. It's not the only path. And yeah, she's enjoying food while traveling, and it's not all or nothing. And she's crushing it in life. So any questions or what's resonating or not resonating, if there are any questions on Alex's journey?
I don't have a question, but I like the thought of like what you said, like stop overthinking gym versus home because like obviously during the pandemic I did a lot of home workouts, but like since then I never do. And even when I think about it, I'm just like, no, like do I really want to like put out my mat and like put up a YouTube video? But it's like, why not? Like I even have like the really good weights that like we bought during COVID, and I'm just like never like I don't know, I just like, can't get myself to work out at home. So I like that like you were able to start helping her with that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think that there has to be a level of intrinsic motivation to even get help. Like this is a solvable problem where if you can't find it in yourself, you could get an accountability partner, which could be Morgan, or like, hey, I need you to call me at this time and do like Powerhouse Women. Like, there's a weekly prompt that you guys put out that I love. Like, there's ways to build an accountability that's free. You can work with a coach if this is something that you really want to get dialed now. And also, I would just say, what sucks more? Feeling like you didn't if you committed to doing a workout and you didn't do one, what sucks more? Not keeping a commitment you made to yourself and kind of putting money in the bank to the future you, or the fact that you had to roll out a mat, which you didn't like for 5 seconds. And to me, it's like, I think about the future me a lot of like, I'm trying to live in I live in the present, not trying, I live in the present, but I'm thinking about like, okay, I don't want to do this, but like, but I want to feel good at the end, and I think it's worth it for me to roll out the mat and kind of suck it up. But if you need help to get to that place of doing it, then you should find external sources of accountability to do it. Or maybe you do it a couple times and you're like, you know what, I didn't enjoy this, I don't like it, but I'm now motivated to make sure I'm doing an outdoor run like on the beach because that sounds more appealing, and I realized I missed working out and how good it felt. So yeah,
Love it.
cool. Well,
Okay,
yeah,
oh, sorry, I just have a quick question.
sure.
Um, so what are your thoughts on, I feel like when I do a lot of strength training, I'll find like hit workouts on Instagram or something that's like a leg day where you're doing, maybe 5 or 6 movements, like one after another, and then repeating that whole thing. And then I see some that have like supersets within them, or some where it's like, one leg movement and you're just repeating that before moving on to the next exercise. And I feel like I gravitate more towards like hit-based workouts where you're doing, like one exercise into the next. Um, but just I've always just like wondered, I don't know, is there a right or a wrong way, or, what are the perks to doing one or the other, I guess.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question, and it depends is my famous answer, but it's honestly the real answer. Going back to just my earlier point on my approach, I like to look at things holistically, so I'll offer insights, but I would prefer, and I know you can't tell us your entire life story over the Zoom, but like I prefer to get the other inputs in terms of what's going on, because the nutrition, the mindset, the recovery pillars also play into what's right or what is better. But I think rather than right and wrong, working and not working, or working no longer working, is kind of the rubric that I try to have mentally. One, because if it's just kinder to myself, and also it's more accurate because there truly are so many ways. That's what I love about fitness, is there's only 4 movement patterns, which I alluded to earlier, but like you're pushing something with your upper body, or you're pulling something, and then you're squatting or hinging, a hinge being like a deadlift. So like, that's it. That's it. You could do 4 moves, but an unlimited way of doing things. So I think if you like the more hit style weight training, then it might be, I would just go back to, how do you progress with that? Like maybe you're doing some progressive overload where instead of, you're working from 30 seconds of work to 40 seconds, but at a certain point with hit, you're going to max out. Like you're not going for like 3 minutes uninterrupted. So I think there's some progression you can do with the resistance and maybe time under tension, but there might be a cap of what you can hit with the hit training. But I think if you enjoy it and you feel like, again, you're getting some results from it, then that's evidence that it is working from you. In terms of like the 5 or 6 or 7 moves, I mean, I have a framework of like what I like to do for workouts that maybe I'll save just in case there's other questions that I want to run out of time, but I'm happy to share how I think about program design. But there's a lot of ways that you could get it right, I guess is the main message. Like it's hard to get it wrong unless you're doing random stuff. Like if you're doing random hit workouts from Instagram and not a structured plan that follows the same moves for a period of time, then I would say get a structured plan. But there's many ways to do it successfully. So unfortunately, I'd need a lot more information, I think, to comment on is what you're doing specifically the right or working or not.
Um, I have a question.
Yes, Carly.
So do you have any advice for people who, like, I think, I chatted with you a little bit before and told you, like, I love kind of like your client Alex in this situation. She loves pole. I love Pilates, but I think I'm at a point where I've realized, like, okay, Pilates is not the end all be all. I would really like to start doing like some stuff with weights, but I just haven't done that in like years. Like, I haven't stepped foot in an actual gym in years. And like last weekend, I went to like a group fitness class that's like interval training with like weights and cardio. And like I had a lot of fun and I feel so sore and I feel really great. But I also was like, this probably isn't the best thing for me because there's only like one coach trying to run around the class and attend to like
Yeah.
30 people. And like I probably don't have the best form because I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
So, and obviously, a personal trainer is ideal, but it's not in everybody's budget at all
Yeah.
times. Do you have
Yeah.
any like beginner steps for people who like want to get into weights, but maybe can't afford a trainer, like kind of just want to dip their feet in?
Yeah, totally. I think that I do, and also just going back to the, I mean, not that I don't know my own story, but I just say an important part, which is going to input. So if you go to Hi, I'm Zoe, and General Mills is based in Minneapolis. Again, I'm from New York originally, and Tough Mudder, Equinox, and Soul Cycle. I worked corporate, so I was in corporate there, not in the field. I wasn't an instructor. So when I was in Minnesota, and why I even started Fitness by Zoe to begin with, is I had a trainer. So when I graduated from business school, I'd worked out for years, like badly and unhealthily for a long time. But I was like, I'm coming back. I'm promoted. I'm getting more money. Like my life is going to be like busy, but also this is it. I'm living on my own. I had roommates. So I was like, at that time I had the budget and I was like, I'm getting a personal trainer. And my personal trainer, Andrea, is also a female trainer and entrepreneur. And she really inspired me that for me, getting like becoming a teacher was actually making me a better student because I wanted to learn and I really enjoyed the learning aspect of lifting. So getting certified was actually the next progression. So the reason I say that is I don't know from my own experience how I would have learned how to lift weights without getting a coach, at least for a period of time, because I didn't know what I was doing. And the evidence of that is, again, I'd been training for years. Also, Darden has a lot of, my business school, they have a lot of ex-military and Marines that go. And I trained, I don't even know how I did this, but like I was like the one girl that trained with the Marines and I learned what a TRX was and that were my friends. But honestly, I don't even know why they let me like not do anything. Like I feel like I trained with them, but I barely lifted weights. I was just on the elliptical machine forever. So even when I had people showing me stuff, I did 4 push-ups, which isn't bad, but that's like I was very humbled with my first day with my trainer when I was telling her how fit I was and how great I was and how promoted I was. I mean, maybe I was a little bit self-absorbed, wasn't in my slide, but Andrea's like, cool, let's see you do a minute plank and 4 push-ups or as many push-ups as you can a minute plus the minute plank. And I did 4. And I felt like humbled, to reuse that word. And that really kickstarted me of like, I want to learn this and get better. So I would say maybe you can get a tune-up session with a trainer. Like maybe you can do that because that's not so expensive that you couldn't skip a night out with friends for like one night of drinks or dinner to do that and find somebody to give you a form check. If you I would say doing a program is best, but there's so many like programs that you could get online that are like, I mean, I do a very highly personalized bespoke coaching, so it's not inexpensive, but you could do like a Kayla Sene's, she also has a weights version, but you could do one of those where it's like 10 to $20 a month. Or Sohi's Fit by Sohi, Sohee. She's actually phenomenal. And I think she offers some really affordable programming. I can share that as an additional resource at the end. So basically, Carly, I think maybe a tune-up session with a trainer to get form, not just for you, but other people, but like one session if it's not a pack of sessions, and then a fairly inexpensive program you could do on your phone at the gym or at home. That I think will be the way to go, if you have a budget constraint.
I like that. And I know you wanted me to keep you on
Yeah, how
time.
are we doing?
Any slides?
Yeah.
We're at 7:55, so if you have some more
Dude,
slides, we can.
guys, absolutely awful time management on my part. Okay, all right. This is the last like money slide, but I want to share the resources because the resources is literally built for you. Okay. First of all, I just really resonate with the woman on the left. That photo, I know that's like a little bit sad, but I just feel like I've been there. So the whole point of this slide is to give you a sense, it's really a progression. And so we saw, we saw what we saw what Jamie's doing, we saw what Alex is doing, and now the question, and we've been talking about it throughout, but what should you be doing? Like, that's great. Those are them. What about you? So I think part of it is where you're starting. And part of it is also you may go to this step 5 sustainable wellness, but you may never get to step 5. You may live in like 3 to 4, and that's totally fine. So it's not about getting to all, stage 5, but it's about understanding what your starting point is, because where you're starting from is going to contextualize maybe what's next for you. So often you're at either a hinge age, like you're 36 and that means something to you, or your 40th birthday is coming up, or you're 65 and you're retiring soon, whatever it is, or some kind of turning point. It doesn't have to be age related, and you're feeling overwhelmed, you're doing the random stuff, and you're at a crossroads. You can either keep doing what you're doing, which you know is not serving you, or you can make a change. And then I would say if you are a beginner, because maybe again, you're experienced and you've kind of fallen off and getting back on, but you want to start with something that you can do, you want to give yourself some early wins. So I would say if you're in building the foundation, and maybe Carly is an example, I would lift consistently twice a week rather than say, I'm going to go all in on like 4 days a week and this is what it is. Like, why set yourself up to potentially fail when you also don't even know what you're doing? So I would say start with something that you can hit and you can always add on, and learning how to properly refuel your body, which most likely is going to include protein, because that's the number one thing I'm not seeing people, consume enough of. Whether you're vegetarian or not, it's something that's a challenge. And these small changes become big wins. They stack. If and when you're feeling good about that, then I would increase to do 3 to 4 strength training days per week. That would be my recommendation. And then you're going to get more advanced nutrition strategies, and you're going to notice the changes. And as the changes grow, your confidence. And now it's not second nature, but you're starting to feel like you've got this. Then, when you get into fitness as a lifestyle, that might take 1 to 2 years. And that's not even the pinnacle of where you're going to be. It's routine, but sometimes it's like, oh, if I'm sick, should I work out? Oh, I don't, it's like you're killing yourself about should you work out when you're sick or not? Or, you have like a wedding coming up or a series of social gatherings, and you're not sure if you should fit in your workouts or how to do that. But you might be ready. Some of my clients, like, they want to do a pull-up for the first time, or they want to learn to use the barbells to do some advanced stuff. And then there's the point where you're sustaining, and you're never done. The journey always continues, but it's second nature. You're really in tune with yourself. Setbacks will happen, but you know how to hop back on the horse faster. And you understand, without self-criticism, which is huge, like, you understand that this is a bigger picture. Like, this is about you being healthy and well as a person. And this fitness and nutrition journey is really facilitating you. It's not a punitive, it's not a have to, it really becomes a get to. And this takes a long time, but when you get there, you never want to go back. You never want to go back to not taking care of yourself in the way that you deserve. So yeah, so this is what I help women do wherever they are in the continuum, but it's not just me. And also you guys can help yourself do that because you're powerhouse women. And I have a lot of confidence. So I think the next slide is just resources. Are there any questions or comments? I'll preview what's to come, but then I think that might be it for the main chat.
No, I think we covered all the good questions in the chat today.
Cool. Okay, well, let me just tell you, so give you guys some homework stuff. So we'll go left to right because I think it's gonna be more useful as we go forward. So I was on a podcast who, it's cool. Actually, it was fun to do. But it's less about that. It's more if you're interested, there's someone in the Telegram who couldn't be here tonight, as an example, and I'm sure there's others, but if you are in corporate and or like working for another real estate firm and you want to go fully solo or anything, if you want to know about taking the leap, I would listen to this. I can answer questions. Otherwise, don't listen to it. I do a lot of work. I mean, just being on, like, don't listen to a random person talk for 45 minutes. But access, in fact, we already did that. So access the workshop. I have one of my favorite nutrition and sustainability topics. I had a guest speaker, Natalia, who is incredible. She works full time in sustainability and she gives some really good recipes. she's a compliment to me because I'm more of a meat eater. But she's much more plant forward from like an ethical perspective. So she gives some great recipes that I include in here, plus like tools that you should have in your kitchen that are so good. I feel like my life did change after Natalia, so I made her do a workshop. And I have you have a link to that. And then I have a guide to the time management, which I think is literally written for this group that I would have given this exact presentation, except that I wanted to challenge myself to do something new. But in this presentation is a link to the recording and as the actual content. This is something, yeah, thank you for the thumbs up. If you wanted to invite me back, if people wanted to do it, whatever the case may be, this is really good because you get in your Google Calendar and you actually do the time blocking. And fitness is like one sliver. Like this is like manage your life. The Pomodoro technique is mentioned, which some other people mentioned in Telegram today. Like all the things are here. And I love this. And I didn't come up with these strategies. I did a paid mentorship in late 2023 and kind of just built on it for myself and my clients. So there's some really good stuff. And then lastly, I am looking to work with more women who, you know, have the time and energy to take their journey to the next level that need help. So there's an application. It's pretty short, but it's just there's a link there. And if there's other women in your life who you think would benefit from any of these things, like please do share. So I think this is the promised thank you slide. I think we're done here.
That was incredible,
Much.
Zoe.
So awesome.
Really great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, you're so welcome. And I will send, I'm going to send at least to the Powerhouse Women. I have a link to it now, but I feel actually I'll ask you guys what you think. I have a link. Oh, you're so welcome. I have a link to the post-event survey because I am obsessed with getting feedback. It doesn't like nothing's going to happen to your email address. Like I won't do anything with it. But would you guys want me to drop it in the chat because I have it for people to do on their own, or do you want to send it out after?
Yeah, if you want to drop it in the chat,
I'll drop it in. I'll
you
drop it in.
definitely can.
In
And
the society chat.
yeah, and then we can send it, we can just send like a link out because we send an email with the recording once
Okay.
it's processed and uploaded on YouTube and on our website. So we'll send it out with that as well. And that's also where you'll be able to find any of the resources that Zoe so kindly put together for us. So keep an eye out for the recording because everything else will come with it.
Great. Well, thank you guys for all the great questions. And yeah, I really appreciate, thank you so much to the Powerhouse Women, Power Five in particular, for the opportunity to be here. I truly appreciate it. And the very last thing, because I always say that and lie, but I really will. It feels so night and day to have people saying like, come to this talk. Like this was good. Like I really appreciate you guys supporting and taking your time to be here. I hope it was valuable. I hope it was fun, but just you're doing great work just to show up and support other people. And I once again plug for Brielle's and other talks in the past. So thank you a million. And yeah, look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thanks so much, my
Thank you
girl.
so much.
Best,
Hopefully we see you
Zoe.
all next month.
Yeah, I'm excited for next month already. Cool. Okay, well, I'll see you guys soon. Have a great night.
Have a great night, everybody, and a great
Good night.
Bye.
bye.